Good afternoon, Cross Timbers. Today is Thursday, April 3rd, 2014. This is Texan TV News from Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas, and I'm Carly West. In today's headlines, Flight 370 remains a mystery, May Fate tradition in full swing, members of the Stephenville Fire Department are getting political, death toll at Fort Hood shooting, medical examiners painstakingly piece together the identities from horrific mudslide, disaster, Chile escapes its latest magnitude 8.2 earthquake. Tarleton State Texan golf team won its third tournament of the 2013-2014 season. Now today's top story, reported from the Associated Press. At the time, the evening of March 24th, it seemed like the breakthrough the world was waiting for. In a hastily called speech, the Malaysian Prime Minister announced that an unpredicted analysis of satellite signals concluded that Malaysian airline Flight 370 ended deep in the Indian Ocean, far from any possible refuge for the 239 souls aboard. Finally, there was a solid explanation for what happened to the aircraft. A much more focused search could begin, and so perhaps could the grieving process for families from 14 countries. The Prime Minister announcement quieted wild speculations about desert islands, terrorists, and covert operations. But 4 weeks after the plane disappeared, the apparent pivot in the searches is proving to be not much of a pivot at all. Not a single piece of wreckage from the lost plane has been found, not even after a new analysis led investigators to change the focus of their search yet again. The latest search area is based on extremely limited satellite data combined with radar data taken from 5 hours before the plane is believed to have gone down. It is, as one search official said, a very inexact science. The aircraft could indeed still be in the area. Planes and ships from several countries have been combing for nearly a week. Currents change the area each day, but on Thursday it was an 86,000 square mile patch of ocean and 1,040 miles northwest of Paris. Each unsuccessful day adds to the skepticism. Without any kind of proof, uncertainty rules the day. People still can't wrap their head around how a modern airplane that big could go missing in the modern day, said Tim Brown, a satellite imaginary expert at Global Security in Alexandria, Virginia. Satellite images taken from the previous search area captured hundreds of possible objects in the water, but searchers in planes and ships found nothing related to Flight 370. In the current search area, even those clues have been lacking. The lack of physical evidence also weighs on the investigation into the crash. Just like day one, every theory remains on the table, including electrical and mechanical failure, terrorism, hijacking, and pilot murder or suicide. On Wednesday, Malaysian Inspector General Khalid Abu Bakar sounded the most pessimistic note yet, warning that although investigations will go on, at the end of it, we may not even know the reason the plane veered off course. In campus news, reported by the Tarleton website, May Fate is a long-lost tradition until now. Many colleges around the country have their own version of a May festival to welcome spring. During the early part of the 20th century, Tarleton's first May Fate was held May 5, 1921. Celebration was often held in conjunction with Parents' Day and or Founders Week, usually in the months of April or May. The festival involved the university as well as the Stephenville community. The Tarleton bands played in the Honeywell Bandstand, while Tarleton girls donned in white dresses could wrap brightly colored ribbons around the maypole. Especially selected Lord Tarleton was the master of the festival and would proudly announce Tarleton's elected May Queen. The May Fate was celebrated for nearly 2 decades each year, triumphantly presenting the university with the May Queen and special memories not to be forgotten. To the university's dismay, May Fate around the 1940s, near the time of World War II. Almost 90 years later, its original Tarleton tradition, the Tarleton Ambassadors, formerly known as the Tarleton Alumni Ambassadors, revived the forgotten Tarleton tradition for the university and her students in May of 2009. This year's May Fate will be held Monday, April 8th from 5 to 7 p.m. in conjunction with Founders Week. The 2014 festival will include several elements of Tarleton's original May Fete. Looking forward to see you at this time-honored event. In regional news, from the Empire-Tribune, members of the Stephenville Fire Department are getting political. About 27 local firefighters have joined forces with citizens and other employees to create Stephenville Firefighters for a Better Community, a group that hopes to influence races in the upcoming city election on May 10th. Forming this group was a way for us to get involved in city politics and inform citizens and city employees about the issues facing Stephenville, said Chairman Daniel Dowell. Dowell has been a firefighter in Stephenville for 6 years and believes that intersect in this election cycle is higher than any in recent years. He said there are 46 people, including citizens and other city employees, who have joined the group. Dowell said potential changes to the city's benefits are that initially got the group talking. The group mailed the questionnaires to candidates in all the city council races, asking questions about staffing and the privatization of city programs like the library and Splashville. The group will host a forum for the mayor's race. Dowell said the group's board of directors will meet at 5 p.m. Friday to work out specifics, including when and where the forum will take place. Those interested in joining the group can get more information by emailing stephenville.ffbc@gmail.com. And now today's Texas, national, and international news from the Associated Press. In Texas news, 1 person was killed and 14 injured in a shooting Wednesday at Fort Hood, and officials at the base said the shooter is believed to be dead. The details about the number of people hurt came from 2 U.S. officials who spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the information by name. Fort Hood said in a statement posted online that its Director of Emergency Services had an initial report that the shooter was dead, but that the report was unconfirmed. Additional details were not immediately available. A U.S. law enforcement official said reporting circulating within the Justice Department indicate the shooter died of what appeared to be a self-inflicted wound. The official spoke on the condition of anonymity because the investigation is still ongoing. The Army said on its official Twitter feed that the Texas Army post was still on lockdown. Injured people were being treated at the post's Carl R. Darnell Medical Center and other local hospitals. General Martin Dempsey, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said many questions remained about the shooting, and the focus was on support the victims and their families. This is a community that has faced and overcome crisis with reliance and strength. He added, a November 2009 attack at Fort Hood happened inside a crowded building where soldiers were waiting to get vaccines and routine paperwork. After recently returning from deployment or while preparing to go to Afghanistan and Iraq. Army psychiatrist Nidal Hassan has convicted and sentenced to death last year in that mass shooting. After that shooting, the military tightened security at bases nationwide. Those measures include issuing security personnel long-barreled weapons, adding an insider attack scenario to their training, and strengthening ties to local law enforcement. According to Peter Daly, a vice admiral who retired from the Navy in 2011, the military also joined an FBI intelligence sharing program aimed at identifying terror threats. President Obama vowed that investigators will get to the bottom of the shooting, seeking to reassure the nation whose sense of security once again has been shaken by mass violence. In a hastily arranged statement, Obama said that he and his team were allowing the situation closely, but that details about what happened at the sprawling Army post were still fluid. Obama reflected on the sacrifices that troops stationed at Fort Hood have made, including during multiple tours to Iraq and Afghanistan. They serve with valor, they serve with distinction, and when they're at their home base, they need to feel safe, Obama said. We need not yet know what happened tonight, but obviously that sense of safety has been broken once again. In national news, in Everett, Washington, medical examiners painstakingly pieced together the identities of the lives of 29 people known killed when mudslide wiped out a small Washington community. One mystery troubles them. One set of remains does not fit with this description on the missing persons list, which, as of Wednesday, included 18 people. The medical examiners known know it is a male, but his remains give no clue as to who he was or who might be looking for him. They can't even identify his age range. Without possible family members to compare, DNA tests are useless. At this point, gold teeth are all they have got to go on. The mystery underscores the tedious process of identifying remains more than a week after the March 22nd landslide that broke off a steep hill, roared across the North Fork of the Siligamush River, and buried a community at Oso, about 55 miles north of Seattle. Like the homes, the cars, and the other parts of the people's lives swept away by the torrent of mud, some bodies are in pieces. Norman Tharash, the Snohomish County medical examiner, said that the goal of the team, which is made up of medical examiners, detectives, dentists, and others, is to make sure there is no doubt as to the identities of the victims. This is not television, he said. These are methodical, painstaking process we go through. Although the identities of 28 of the 29 confirmed or dead have been determined, officials so far released the names of only 25. Other names are expected to be released by the end of the week. 18 people are still listed as missing, officials say. Wednesday, they expect all remains currently at the medical examiner's office to be identified by later this week, except for the one man. Investigators are still working to determine his identity. We make no assumptions, Snohomish County Sheriff's official Sergeant Sean Stitch said. Nothing they will not give up on the investigation. It's such a big impact on our community, and that's why we are here. In international news, in Chile, hard-won expertise and a big dose of luck helped Chile escape its latest magnitude 8.2 earthquake with a surprisingly little damage and death. The country that suffers some of the world's most powerful quakes has strict building codes, mandatory evacuations, and emergency preparedness that sets a global example. But Chileans weren't satisfied Wednesday, finding much room for improvement. Experts warn a systematic gap has left northern Chile overdue for a far bigger quake. Authorities on Wednesday discovered just 6 reported deaths from the previous night's quake. It's possible that other people were killed in older structures made of adobe in remote communities that weren't immediately accessible, but it's still a very low toll for such a powerful shift in the undersea fault that runs through the length of South America's Pacific coast. The U.S. Geological Survey said more than 60 significant aftershocks, including one of magnitude 6.2, followed the Tuesday night quake, centered 61 miles north of Chile, and seismologists warned that the same region is long overdue for an even bigger quake. Could be tomorrow, could be in 50 years. We do not know when it's going to occur, but the keynote here is that this magnitude 8.2 is not the large earthquake that we were expecting for this area. We're actually still expecting potentially an even larger earthquake, said Mark Simmons, a geophysicist at the California Institute of Technology. In sports news, reported by Tarleton Sports, the number 3 ranked Tarleton State Texan golf team won its third tournament of the 2013-2014 season with a 12-stroke win at the Southwest Classic that was hosted by Dallas Baptist at Apple Rock Golf Course at Horseshoe Bay. The Texans carded a second round, 317, to finish at 625 for the tournament, 12 strokes ahead of Midwestern State, who finished in second place. Sharon Lau showed a final round score of 73 to go along with her first round score of 76, and won the individual title with a score of 149. It was Lau's first individual championship since winning the Oklahoma Collegiate Invitational back in 2012. Lau carded 5 birdies and 23 pars over the 2-day event, scoring +1 on par 3, +6 on par 4, and -1 on par 5. Isabel Jimenez Pereira carded a final round 80 and finished in 5th place overall with a 2-day score of 156. Sarah Fulfer and Beatrice Paredes followed as both players tied for 10th place. Fulfer shot 81 on Tuesday, while Paredes carded an 83 in the final round. The Texans will have next week off as the team prepares to host the Doc Housewright Invitational, which will be held April 14th and 15th at Harbor Lakes Golf Club in Granbury. Today's forecast shows a high of 89 degrees, isolated thunderstorms with a 30% chance of rain, and wind speeds of 20 miles per hour. Today's broadcast was produced by Laura Rylant and Shelby Hilton. Don't forget to tell your friends about us and become a fan of Texan TV News on Facebook. I'm Carly West. Tune in tomorrow for the latest news from the Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas.